Accessibility is one of the most important things that we can participate in as podcast creators and content creators. So today we have someone to come on and talk about dyslexia and how we as podcasters can be more specific and really support those folks that are listening to our show that are dyslexic. So please join me in welcoming Russell Van Brocklin to the podcast. Welcome to Podcasting Unlocked, the show for purpose-driven podcasters. I'm Alicia Galati, founder of Galati Media, and I'm here to share actionable strategies to help you amplify your message and grow your audience. Hello, Russell. I'm so excited to get into this conversation with you. If you could start by telling us who you are and a bit about what you do.
Well, my name's Russell Van Brocklin. I'm a New York State dyslexia-funded researcher. And just so your guests know, on Podmatch, I've been the number one guest last month, and I'm the number one guest this month out of about 4,800. So what I do is I take and I teach dyslexic parents and teachers how to quickly overcome their child's learning concerns with dyslexia for reading and writing faster than anybody else. So essentially what I do is, this is the top book in my field. It's called Overcoming Dyslexia by Sally Chayowitz. And just so your guests know, this is dyslexia. You see how the back part of the dyslexic brain has like just about almost no neural activity?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how yours is going crazy?
Yep.
But the front part of my brain's about 2.5 times overactive.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, your audience, what we're going to discuss for the next half hour is what you can do to modify your content to make it extremely interesting to dyslexics, because we're going to focus on that front part of the dyslexic student's brain. Why should you listen to me? What's my degree? What magic have I pulled? My initial research project was funded by the New York State Senate. We took highly motivated, highly intelligent dyslexic juniors and seniors with middle school writing skills. One class period a day for the school year for about 180 sessions. Their best teacher, this was Susan Ford of Averill Park Central School District outside of Albany, New York. These kids went from writing at the middle school level to the average range of entering graduate school students. They had the writing skills of college graduates before they left high school because of this. So they all went on to college, all graduated, GPAs of 2.5 to 3.6, cost to New York State of under $900 a kid. I then translated that to younger students, where I'm having a book come out in a couple of months. It's called Literacy and Reading Dyslexia Turnaround. It's about Kimberly and her son, Reed. This is halfway through 5th grade, over winter break. Reed was in 5th grade reading and writing as a beginning 3rd grader. In 6 months, a little under, he went from being a grade and half level bit back to a little bit above grade level, learning 7 times faster than the school was supposed to teach him. Why is this important? He was a little bit above grade level at the end. His friends wanted him in public school for 6th grade for social reasons. If this was January, he would have been placed in special ed. But because his mom did that, he was in normal classes, and he's doing fine in 6th grade. His mom did in 6 months what private schools take years to do.
Yeah.
Using that process. So how can we apply this to help grow your audience with dyslexics? Number one, your podcast absolutely has to be very specific. You're not doing a variety show here. You're not going after everybody. You're looking for a very specific podcast, because when you're dealing with dyslexics and ADD and ADHD, it all works the same. We focus on our speciality, our area of extreme interest and ability, or you've lost us. That's why dyslexics don't do well kindergarten through college. We excel once we get into grad school. First day of graduate school, day one, we own the place, or soon thereafter. Why? Because grad school is ultra specific. So you want to have a podcast that's very specific, and that'll gain the dyslexic students' attention, and ADD and ADHD. But here's the caveat. We are just not kind of listening. We're really interested. And as you know, it's much better to have 100 people listening to your podcast that are really into it than 1,000, let's see what else is on the dial sort of thing. Number 2, and this is going to shock a lot of you. The biggest thing that I can explain to you, and just so you know where this comes from, I noticed when I interviewed top dyslexic professors, just so you know what my criteria was, a full professor at a major research university. And what they told me is when they learn, they do not learn well from the general to the specific. They learn exceedingly well from the specific to the general. Why? I want you to think of when I ask a dyslexic in their speciality. Do you have ideas flying around your head at light speed? The key question, but with little to no organization. They're going to say yes. Okay, so then what we have to do to fix that, we force their brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. That's not a concern for you. The concern that you have is that they have ideas flying around their head at light speed, but with little to no organization. So if you explain the way things you were taught in school, which is a general concept that moves towards the specific, it's like asking us to grab fog. We can't do it. Okay, we're lost. We will turn out. But the solution is to flip that and ask a specific to a general question. So, for example, here's what you can't do. What effect did Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech have on the American Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s? Nothing there. What we do is we do the specific to the general. What personally compels Martin Luther King to want to give his famous I Have a Dream speech? What compelled him to do this? All right, then we find the answer. That gives us another question, and we get another answer, and that gives us an organization. And then when we're looking for, again, I'm just going to show the overactive front part of the brain again. It's 2.5 times overactive in the front. That's word analysis followed by articulation. So how do we apply all this? Okay. So here's my question to you. You have a lot of podcasters out there. Give me a podcast subject that a lot of your podcasters are in, like health or fitness or whatever.
I would say they're really trying to make an impact in the world, but just to give you an idea or an example that you could run with, how about productivity and like trying to be more productive? And so they're trying to teach their listeners how to be more productive in whatever way works for them.
Okay. So when we're looking at that, how do we apply that for a dyslexic? Answer to that is actually really simple. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on word analysis followed by articulation, because that's how we use the overactive front part of the dyslexic brain. Let's go ahead and start off with productivity. All right. Is this something you personally know a decent amount about?
Me personally, I would say
Yes.
I'm fairly versed, but I would not consider myself an expert.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can show you how to be much more specific with your audience so that it reflects you. So what we're going to do is, let's say we have a hero. You're our hero.
Okay.
Okay. So what we want to do is I want you to say your first name and what you want to accomplish in one sentence.
I'm Alicia, and I want to get more of my to-do list done in a day.
Okay. So that's the productivity that you want to look at. All right. So we're going to look for 2 types. Remember what we're doing? We're doing word analysis here. We're looking for 2 types of words. One is a word that is going to bring you more towards your general goal, and one's the most important word. So what's the most important word in that sentence?
Probably to-do list or do.
Give us a sentence again.
My name's Alicia, and I want to get more of my to-do list done in a day.
Okay. Say it again slower.
My name is Alicia, and I want to get more of my to-do list done in a day.
Okay. Now, do you see how the most important word there is probably more?
Yeah.
Or done?
Yeah.
Okay. Which way do you want to go? More or done?
Ooh, my brain says more, but done feels more realistic.
Okay. Done feels more realistic. Okay. So let's go for thesaurus. And I'm going to put this in to done. Now, do you see how that's a very simple word?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm just going to put in done. And the problem is when we're starting at words at this level. All right. It's that it's very broad, very simplistic. Do you see the problem with that
Mm-hmm.
when you're trying to communicate? What we're looking for is a word with a definition that best matches what's in your head. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give you some words: complete, concluded, consummated, depleted, drained. Okay. Affected, ended, exceeded. This is for done. All
Mm.
right. Succeeded, wired, set, any of those, fulfilled, perfected,
I like the
performed, any of
perfected.
those, perfected. Okay.
That's a good
Now,
word.
do you see that when we have perfected, that is a much more specific word for you?
Yeah.
Now, what I would do is I would have you go through multiple levels to find the best word and look up those definitions in Merriam-Webster's online dictionary. Find the one where the definition best matches in your head. But can you see how perfected is still so much better than done?
Yeah.
So this is going to be what your show is about. We're not going to talk about how to get things done. Congratulations. Your middle school kid could come up with that. We're going to show you how to get things perfected.
Yeah.
Do you see how that's a much stronger title?
Yeah, for sure. And it makes me think of like, so as podcast content creators, right? I see this so often. People like to use frivolous words or words that it's like the thing I learned on the mountain. It's like nobody
Yeah, I mean,
cares. Like, be specific on like what the person's going to get from the content. And so that's such a great way to take an idea of like, okay, this is what the episode is about, but how can we be more specific so that it's actually like, this is what's happening in my head and what I'm actually trying to help you do and accomplish in this episode.
right. And this is just the first one we grabbed,
Yeah.
okay, just to demonstrate the process. But what you want to do is go through all those words and don't assume you know what they mean. Look them up in Merriam-Webster's online dictionary, or if you want it, what you can do is go to ChatGPT and say, as you're doing this, give me custom definitions that way. Saves a lot of time, but just give me a good reason or two. Why do you want to get things perfected? Why? You want to get your to-do list perfected to be perfectively completed. Why? Give me a good reason or two.
So that I have more time to read.
So that you have more time to read. Give me another one.
So that I can be more present with my kids without having my to-do list on my brain.
Okay. Now, do you see how you're thinking of good reasons? What I would do is for any of you out there with a podcast, you're looking for a very specific individual. I would create an avatar. All right. I specifically use ChatGPT Pro. It's worth the $200 a month to get access to their pro account because it takes, like when you're doing ChatGPT, you expect an instant result.
Mm-hmm.
When I use it, I wait 10, 15 minutes for anything. I just did a search. It took 27 minutes to do one thing. But man, was that a good answer. So you go through, create your avatar. What reasons would your avatar be looking for? See, now you have your word perfected. And based on that, you have what you're looking to do from your avatar. And then with that, you can then come up with 1, 2, 3, whatever number of reasons. Usually you do it within max 3. And then you build your show around that. Here's the key thing. It's the word that best represents you, but the reasons, if you're part of that group, try some of your reasons. If not, go and get an avatar created. What reasons are good for them? So you're expressing what's specifically good for you, but the reasons are for your audience. Do you see how that makes it a little different?
Yeah.
So if you have 2 podcasters doing the same general thing, if I hear the same thing on this podcast from the next podcast or the next one, why would I listen to your show?
Mm-hmm.
But if the word we're focused on is from you, it's deep in, it's part of you. And then the reasons are either part of you if you're really in that group, or if you do a mixture of having your avatar and having the AI say, well, these are the other main reasons, it's still going to be influenced from you because this is your perspective through that word. So what you're going to have is unique. It may be slightly unique, but if you keep doing slightly unique week to week, you are different. You can't get this slant, this information anywhere else. That's enough for you to make a really interesting podcast. See that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the next thing to do, what you're going to find with education, almost all of the innovation in education comes from the special ed world, which is about half dyslexic. All right. We're the worst of the worst in reading and writing. So the innovation starts with us and then it goes out to everybody else. So the next thing is we need to focus on the specific to the general. So you just came up with your unique word because you gave me some good reasons that are unique to you. And you may, again, supplement or change those based on your avatar. All right. You're going to start off with a very specific example. Because remember, when you're trying to communicate, a concept is very hard to understand. So we start off as an example from a specific point, and then we move ourselves out step by step. Now, you may only go out one or two steps in a podcast because here's the research on this. People are having shorter attention spans.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example. I'm an Xer. What generation are you?
I'm a millennial.
You're a millennial. Do you have any idea what it's like for the Zoomers coming up?
I have two kids, they're Gen Alpha.
Yep, they're alphas.
I'm not sure about the
I'm just going to
Zoomers
give you
yet, though.
I'm just going to give you an example with the Zoomers. That one podcast I was listening to from a leader in artificial intelligence. He said he made a mistake. He gave his kids iPhones at a very young age. So now they're in their mid-teens, and there's a movie they really wanted to see, which was from back in the 80s. Okay? They wanted to see it, but they could barely keep their attention span for 90 minutes.
Wow.
For something because they're so used to the quick fix of social media. He said, I shouldn't have given them the iPhone until they're 16, preferably 18. All right. So with podcasts, really the hour and a half long episodes, you're going to find the statistics are usually 30 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So as you're doing this, as you're starting to go out, you may decide, well, now I have enough content ideas. Maybe I want to go out 2 steps, 3 steps, 5, whatever it is. Now I have enough stuff that I can do a series on.
Right.
That's authentic to me. Okay. And then what you need to do is your podcast needs to be very specific. So if you're wondering why you can't get anybody to show up and to stay showing up, you need to have a very specific podcast. That's the number one thing I see out there. And usually at this point, when I'm talking on podcasts like yours, who's in this niche, they'll say, well, you're the number one guest on Podmatch. What makes you the ability to go and apply your things to across a huge area? And it's because I came up with a process of solving problems for dyslexics. Okay. And that's a process that I can apply to a huge range of things. As I said, my most craziest ones that I'm recently done is how to explain to doctors, a podcast for doctors to explain you're going home from the hospital. How do we make this effective?
Yeah.
Or in wine tasting, they have all these exotic words they need to memorize. Here's how you do that. It's a process that I create that's good beyond dyslexia.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I can go broad. All right. But with what you're doing, you want to be very specific. So again, let's just go back and recap. What you want to do is, again, we have a hero. That's you. The hero wants to do something. You come up with that. You're looking, most important, I just go for the most important words, just to keep it simple. We gave you 2 options. You picked one.
Yep.
That was a form of word analysis. For dyslexics, that's 2.5 times our neural activity. Then we put it through the thesaurus. You want to go through levels of words, looking up the dictionary definition for all of them, or you can just go and work it out with ChatGPT. Okay? Find out the word that best represents it's in your head that's good for your audience. Maybe not as best for you. If there's one a little better for your audience, that's something you can figure out. That's word analysis. And then because this is articulation, you come up with 1, 2, maybe 3 reasons. If you're really part of your community, you can go with that. Or maybe you do some of yours, some from your AI avatar. Okay. Then you go with a specific example and then you go outward because concepts are hard. Do an example first, then the concept.
Yeah.
And the last thing is you have to deal with a dyslexic speciality, which if you're on a focused podcast, you've already done. You see how that makes things a lot more. Do you see how that just gives you a whole new idea of how to give your information so it's you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, people are listening to your podcast for a reason. How do you build an audience with podcasts? Well, I looked up your numbers. They're fantastic. Okay. So I hope I just gave you an idea of how you can make things more specific, more you.
Yes, which is going to make people want to share your podcast more, right? Share it with their friends, let people know about it. And I love what you said about like, okay, you might have all these bright ideas and all these things that you want to talk about, but how can we make it bite size? Because people's attention span is changing. We're even seeing the consumption rates, even though nothing has changed in how long the episodes are, how much of the episodes people are listening to. And maybe it's the amount of time that people have to be able to dedicate to podcast listening, where 4 years ago they had more time, now they don't. We're seeing those reduce pretty significantly across the board for a lot of our clients. Maybe we just need to shift as content creators and podcasters, bring it in even more. How can we consolidate this? Get to the point, tell the story, make it relatable, and get the heck out of there.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, I have to keep up with AI because what I do, I came up with a process. I use the craft of research, concept, problem, solution. And if you're trained in craft of research, you can do AI even if you know nothing about it because it's how to come up with original ideas. There's one guy, I don't know his name. He has a beard that I listen to with AI because I know in less than 15 minutes, typically, I'm going to find out the deepest stuff that's going on and how to actually apply it to the real world. All right. There's another guy I listen to because I'm afraid of if we get into a war with China over Taiwan, we're going to have an economic impact twice as bad as the Great Recession because that's where all the chips are made. So there's one guy who's called China Update. He's on there for 10, 13 minutes a day, 4 or 5 days a week. Best content I've ever seen. Okay. So these are niche guys, but they still command, 100,000 people watching you and your niche.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking about this as a business.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't need to have the biggest numbers out there. You need the quality. And what I just explained to you is you cannot get that anywhere else because it's not you.
Right.
And let's face it, I'm a guest. People ask, where's my podcast? I said, are you insane? I'm dyslexic. The amount of work you got to put, forget it. I show up. I have a pre-interview sometimes not. Then I show up and I explain my process. And then I go on and I'm leaving all the work to you guys.
Yeah.
So just so people know what my schedule is, I'm doing 3 podcasts today. Tomorrow I'm doing 3 podcasts. All right. I got 76 of these, more of these scheduled. I've completed over 100 of them in the last couple of months. All right. And I'm going to be keeping this up for a while to just trying to get the word out to what I do, because this is the best way as a dyslexic to do it. But I couldn't imagine doing what you guys do. And then the people ask, well, how do you promote things? I said, well, they're called employees.
Mm-hmm.
People send me their podcasts. I have employees know exactly what they're doing, and they spread it out on social media. Okay. Good grief. I'm not doing that. I'm not that crazy. So the work you guys put in is amazing. And what you're growing and you're passionate about it. I will tell you some of the smartest people I ever met are podcasters. And I can tell you for the book that I'm coming out, most of those, you open up a good book and all these important people are saying a sentence or two about it.
Yeah.
I'm going after podcasters for that. I'm trying to now move into keynote speaking.
Nice.
And my reviews are podcasters because you matter
Yep.
in your niche. You matter. This is the way you can make things a bit more unique.
Oh, Russell, this has been so much fun and so informative. Thank you so much. If people are like, okay, yes, I need more Russell, where can they find you, get to know you, hang out with you?
The easiest thing to do is just go to dyslexiaclasses.com. That's plural with an S, dyslexiaclasses.com. The easiest way to get in contact with me is there's a button that says download free report. It's the 3 reasons your child's having trouble in school due to dyslexia, but it's the same 3 things we just discussed here and how you can apply that. Fill out the contact form. Actually, this is what people keep missing to do. Go to Zoom, guys, or go to my online calendar, set up a free half-an-hour appointment with me. We will discuss anything you need. There's no charge, and I can explain to you how to apply this more specifically to what you're doing. But just go and make that appointment, and I'll see what I can do to help.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we have links for that in the show notes for anyone who's doing other things as they are listening or watching us. Again, thank you so much, Russell.
Thanks for having me.